Hi, I'm James Lamont, Fellow at the Vidine Center for Rural Economic Development at the University of Minnesota Crookston. Today, we're going to continue our supply chain series and discuss container shortages. Earlier in the pandemic, container shortages were plaguing producers and processors across the country as a result of an inability to access them as shipping basically came to a grinding halt in China. In early 2022, unfortunately, many of those container shortages continue to plague producers, processors, retailers, wholesalers, and consumers across the upper Midwest, as well as in other parts of the country. Put simply, the container shortage is caused by a few things. First and foremost, congestion at ports. We had massive congestion at ports in the West Coast of the United States, as well as Canada, as well as Europe. Figures 1 and 2 demonstrate the terminal congestion that's occurred, and as a result, there are consistently ships as well as containers sitting off a port of call. In addition to this, many of the producers in Asia, because of the backlog of containers, are paying shipping companies, which are effectively maritime ocean carriers, money to put empty containers after the products have been delivered to the United States back onto a train into a West Coast port as fast as possible. So instead of the containers stopping and being shared among producers and processors of primarily agricultural products in the upper Midwest, what is happening is for a few extra $1,000s, the shippers in Asia are convincing them to put these containers on empty and running them right back to the ports in the West Coast as well as the West Coast of Canada. So as a result, if you're a producer or processor, you see tons of containers, primarily intermodal or hopper cars that are moving through your region, and they are empty. And as a result, you can't move your product, especially if it's a food grade product, because you simply can't access a container. Unfortunately, this accounts for roughly a third of all containers that are imported into the United States. And two ocean carriers in particular are moving over half empty. So as a result, shippers, even though the prices continue to be elevated for containers, are unable to access the requisite infrastructure to ship their product to West Coast ports and subsequently consumers in Asia. We also expect that new lockdowns in China as of March and April of 2022 will continue to plague the port system in Asia. Major cities, such as the largest being Shanghai in China, are currently under lockdown here in mid-April of 2022. And also, the industrial heartland and many of the manufacturers consistently have closures because of COVID outbreaks. And because of those tight measures, it's further exacerbating the instability associated with moving containers from west to east. In addition to all of those empties, and if you can even access it, you're still paying a major premium for that particular container. So all of these elements are leading to a perfect storm for many of the producers and processors that have already suffered from some of the other disruptions caused by the COVID pandemic. Fortunately, there's federal legislation being proposed and led by upper Midwestern members of Congress. Senator Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota, as well as bipartisan Republican colleagues, are putting together a bill that will at least direct prioritization. Producers and processors are continuing to try to not dilute the bill so that there's actual teeth, if you will, or penalties, so that at least processors, or rather, at least ocean container companies or maritime shipping companies are penalized if they ship an empty to make the cost a little bit more fair for upper Midwestern as well as other agricultural producers across the country. In addition, given these projections, whether it be because of the imbalance, the empties, the continued sort of COVID pandemic, as well as the lockdowns in China, it's more likely than not that many of these issues will continue. And as a result, many of our producers and processors will continue to suffer either super high prices or the inability to access containers to ship their product to consumers across Asia. I would like to thank you for joining us today. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and we look forward to talking to you in our next component of the series. Thank you.